We are live.
Good evening. We'll call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order. I'll ask everyone to rise as you are able for the reading of the invocation. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. Let us also not forget those who served in our community and who no longer are with us, so we can continue to do the work we must in their memory. Thank you. You can be seated. And the roll's been taken, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest on any of the items this evening? Seeing none. Members of the committee, are there items for consideration or consent you'd like separated for discussion purposes? Councillor Carpenter, I believe you had one.
7.1.5.
Other separations? I'll be separating 5.1. If there's no others. 7.2.2 will be separated because we have a delegation for it. Councillor Caputo, I believe you have the motion to move approval of items that were not separated.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Slush, that all items for consideration consent 7.1 and 7.2 not separated for discussion purposes be approved.
Okay. With that, if the clerk will read the titles of the items that are subject to the vote and then call the vote, please.
Through the chair, the items subject to the vote are the following: 711, City of Brantford's Emergency Management Program and Emergency Response Plan by bylaw update; 712, Master Fire Plan update; 713, Clerk's Department Policy amendments; 714, enhancements to the City of Brantford Heritage Grant Plan and consideration of adaptive reuse incentives; 716, Brantford Heritage Committee report; 721, annual update on street naming 2023; and item 723, minutes. The separation of items carries on a recorded vote of 11 to 0. Those councillors voting in favor: Councillor Ventelberg, Samuel, Carpenter, Hunt, Martin, McCreary, Celeste, Caputo, Sullivan, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item 5, statutory public hearing. There's one public meeting on today's agenda. The public meeting is held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. The purpose of the hearing is to discuss the planning application and to hear from the public either in support or against the application. At the end of the public meeting, the committee will pass a recommendation which is generally considered for a final decision at the next council meeting. The name of anyone who speaks in regard to any item will appear within the meeting minutes. Anyone wishing notice of any further proceedings regarding the application should also provide their name and address to the clerk's office. We ask that members of the public in attendance today who speak to an item, please ensure that you and your contact information to the sign-in sheet located at the delegates table. As the city is the applicant, staff will speak first, followed by public. Each will have up to 10 minutes to speak, inclusive of questions from the committee. Staff will then have 5 minutes to provide clarification to any questions or issues raised during the meeting. We will now consider item 5.1. I would now ask Michelle Ladresi, Long Range Planner, and Alan Waterfield, Manager of Long Range Planning, to come forward and provide an overview of Report 2023-689. Go ahead when you're ready.
Can we have the presentation up? There we go. Good evening, committee. My name is Michelle Ladresi. I'm a long-range planner with the city, and I will be presenting to you the new Downtown Facade and Safety Improvement Grant Program for the Downtown CIP. In February, council directed staff to create a new program to provide downtown property owners a financial incentive to complete facade and safety improvements in line with CEPTEP principles, which stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. At this time, the Downtown Community Improvement Plan has one program called the Property Tax Increment-Based Grant, so a new program is required. The new program for the downtown is modeled after a similar program offered through the Grayfield CIP in a different part of the city. In September, at the Committee of the Whole, staff presented the draft program and received direction to amend the downtown CIP to formally establish the program. In early November, we met with the Downtown BIA and the Chamber of Commerce and received their support, and we hosted an open house on November the 8th. Our goal was to gather input from the community as we finalized and prepared this amendment for council approval. A community improvement plan is a tool under the Planning Act that authorizes municipalities to revitalize areas of a city through programs, grants, and incentives within a defined community improvement project area. The program is designed as a financial incentive for property owners to complete facade and safety improvements and align with CEPTEP principles. CEPTEP is based on the theory of belief that the proper design and effective use of the built environment can lead to a reduction in the incidence and fear of crime and improvement in the quality of life. The goal of the program is to enhance the feeling of safety and security for residents and people working or visiting downtown. The program will be offered within the existing community improvement project area for the downtown CIP, which is aligned with the Downtown Brantford Urban Growth Center. Properties within this area are eligible to apply to the new downtown facade and safety improvement grant program. Eligible projects include building facade enhancements, enhanced lighting, hard and soft landscaping installations that are designed to delineate space and maintain visibility through the space, and installation to deter graffiti, theft, and vandalism, including anti-graffiti products, theft-proof glass, and commissioned murals, and defined background areas that are visible within the landscape. The financial details of the grant are briefly listed here. They were established using the parameters from a similar program available for the Grayfield areas. The grant maximum is $15,000. 50% of the eligible costs will be covered. Projects with less than $10,000 will not be considered. And the current funding allocated is $50,000. This amount has the potential to fund 3 to 10 applications, depending on the amount for each individual grant, which will vary between $5,000 and $15,000, depending on the scope of eligible costs for each project. Other details of the grant are as follows. Contractors must be at arm's length from the property owner. Institutional and city-owned buildings are not eligible. This program cannot be stacked with the existing tax increment grant. Only one application per property, and 2 quotations for cost estimates are required. Types of costs that are not eligible include the operation, general maintenance, and life cycle costs, non-permanent installation, rental equipment, administration costs, and expenses that occur before grant approval. Long-range planning staff will be responsible for administering the grant program, along with assistance from other departments as necessary. Replenishing the funding envelope will require council approval through the budget process. The plan details all of the steps in the application process and outlines that staff will prepare a report to council on each application, and council will be the approval authority for all applications. Planning staff will maintain a database for monitoring and reviewing applications to ensure the grant is being utilized and achieving its intended outcomes. Planning staff will report to council to provide an update on the new grant. To conclude, staff recommend that amendment number 1 to the Downtown Community Improvement Plan be adopted, and the implementing bylaw attached as Appendix A to Report 2023-689 be approved, and that staff report back to council in 2025 or through the 2025 estimate process to present a budget as would be necessary to continue the program into the future beyond the current $50,000 funding allocation. So that concludes presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Secoli.
Yes, thank you. Good presentation. I just have one question. Can you explain to me the rationale behind excluding any project that's less than $10,000?
The rationale behind that was to, oh, sorry, through the chair, the rationale behind the $10,000 project limit was to keep it in line with the Grayfields project that's available in the other part of the city. We believe that projects less than $10,000 to bring something like that forward to council for a small amount of grant money may not be worth it for staff time that's involved and putting a report together and such. If Alan would like to add anything.
Yeah. Do you think that would discourage someone from making some improvements if?
Through the chair, the intent there is that it will hopefully incent people to provide a bit more of a substantial improvement to their building.
Fair, thank you.
Seeing no further questions, thank you. Good presentation. Sorry, Mayor Davis, go ahead.
I recall there being times of meetings where you criticized me for not seeing you. Happy that you
Old karma.
But a question for you, Michelle. So I know we dealt with this previously this fall. So why are we seeing it again tonight by way of this statutory public hearing? Why is that necessary?
Through the chair, I'll take that one. I don't think Michelle heard the question, but I did. Mayor Davis, you're asking why we were going through this public hearing process?
Yeah, given that we had previously had this come before us at I think it was in September. Might have been.
Yes, we were before a committee in September.
Right.
We're back today because the process to establish this program has to follow the requirements of the Planning Act. And in order to provide these incentives through community improvement, we need to make an amendment to the existing downtown community improvement plan. So there's requirements that we're following to have a statutory public meeting.
And what's being proposed by way of this bylaw and public hearing is essentially the same as what was before us in September. Or have you made any changes since then?
Through the chair, the program is contained in the amendment is consistent with what we brought forward in September.
Right, and for the benefit of the viewer, if I want to do anything to improve my property downtown, can I possibly qualify, or does it only in respect to certain kinds or types or categories of improvements?
Through the chair, the program's not available to each and every property within the downtown community improvement project area. They need to be commercial properties that.
Okay. But what I'm getting at is, let's say I want to beautify my property or I want to renovate it. Will it qualify just based on that, or what are the criteria? What is it you have to try and accomplish or achieve with the improvement in order to qualify?
Through the chair, the improvements need to be something that are visible to the public realm. Again, they need to be commercial properties and for eligible costs that are outlined in the program. So.
Okay, I guess what I'm getting at is, what purposes are required of your improvement in order to qualify for a grant? If I just want to make my property look better, do I qualify, or do I have to be doing something in particular with my property in order to qualify? I think I'm trying to get at the safety aspect.
Yeah, so it's a combination of visual improvements, but a component of this is to achieve the CPTED component of the program, which is to improve safety within the downtown. So there could be some improvements that would qualify, such as, improving windows with shatterproof glass that, for example, won't necessarily change the look of the building, but will improve the safety and security within the downtown.
Or the
That or
renovations.
is up.
Okay.
So we'll now open the floor to members of the public seeking to speak to the item. If there are any members of the public attending the meeting virtually to speak to the application, please use the raised hand function on the bottom of the screen. Are there any persons in the public chambers who would like to speak to the application? Please come forward to the delegates tables and state your name and mailing address. As a reminder, each member of the public will have 10 minutes inclusive of questions to present. Is there anyone online that's? Okay, for a second time, is there any member of the public wishing to speak to this? Third and final time, any member wishing to speak to this? Since there were no public presentations, I guess you have nothing to clarify. Any final comments? No? Okay. With that, the public meeting is now closed. Can I have a mover and a seconder to place item 5.1 on the floor? Moved by Councillor Sullivan, second by Councillor McCreary. Questions? Comments? Seeing none, I have one question. I'll be voting against this. I believe this is politics of special interest because it's a restricted area. So I won't be voting against it, but I suspect I might be the only one. So with seeing no further raised hands, we'll call the question.
Item 5.1, amendment to number 1 to the Downtown Community Improvement Plan carries on a recorded vote of 10-1. Those councillors voting in favor: Councillor Vanderborg, Samuel, Carpenter, Hunt, McCurry, Celeste, Caputo, Sullivan, Secola, Mayor Davis. Councillors voting against: Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Brings us to delegations. Prior to hearing the delegation, I'd like to remind those in the meeting today that the following rules of decorum as set forth in the city's procedure bylaw apply. No person shall display any sign, banner, or placard in the meeting room other than materials that, in the opinion of the chair, are legitimate audiovisual aids necessary in connection with any presentation to be made to council. All persons present shall use polite, respectful language and shall refrain from the use of any language or the making of any gesture that is disrespectful or offensive. All persons addressing council shall speak only on the subject in debate and shall not speak on any other subject. No person shall applaud participants in debate or engage in conversation or behavior that may be disruptive of the proceedings of the meeting. We have one registered delegate for tonight's meeting, the Brantford Sports Council Tournament Capital 25th Anniversary Celebration Final Report. So Mr. Harding and Pat, if you'd like to come forward. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead.
When does the 10-minute clock start working, Greg,
After you introduce yourselves.
Okay.
You want me to?
Well, you want us to introduce ourselves first?
Please.
Pat Shuchuk. Do you need my address as well?
Sure.
66 9th Avenue, Eagle Place.
Thank you.
Bill Harding, and I'm the current chair of the Sports Council and the director of the Community Sports Councils of Ontario and Brantford resident, and look forward to tonight.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're here this evening to thank City Council for providing the Sports Council the opportunity and our committee the opportunity to develop the plan, host the celebrations of the 25th anniversary in recognizing Brantford as a tournament capital of Ontario. You've already received a large amount of comprehensive reports in your report, so I'm not going to go into that. I want to leave as much time for councilors to ask us any questions. However, I did want to also, where's my presentation? Oh, I guess this is moving it here. I got to figure this out. Does it just, I just want it to go down or slide it down or next one here. Okay, here we are. Okay. And formally thank our committee. Get back here. That's way at the top here.
Just
I'm missing something. I just want to get down to the next page 2. Okay, there we are. So I'm not going to go into those details. But our committee, my goodness. Okay. Anyway, our committee was made up of a number of our community partners who provided their services, and we wanted to formally thank them. All who volunteered their time, their services, equipment, and professionalism in putting together the program for the evening and all the future activities. The event was about Brantford, about fostering a sense of pride and rallying continued support for this designation. And we have established some momentum now. We just don't want to not waste that and keep moving forward on the development of TCO of Brantford as a designation of Brantford for the Tournament Capital. So I'm going to turn it over to council, and through you, Council Mayor or Councillor Martin. The mayor's not in the chair tonight. If you wanted to have any questions or address any issues related to the Tournament Capital.
We have 2 speakers in the queue. Councillor Sless, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Pat and Bill. It's good to see you back in the room. First, let me just say congratulations on the event. It's been a while since it happened, but it was memorable. It was well done, and it was well received and well attended. So congratulations on a great event. A question for you: given that the room tax that the city is currently entertaining and will probably be implementing imminently, would you be the most appropriate group, you and your community partners, to take the Tournament Capital brand and put it back to where it used to be and where it should be? Would you be, given the appropriate resources, would you be the group that we should be talking to?
So, John, you're talking about the MAT tax, right? The municipal.
I'm talking about the room tax. Yes.
Appropriation tax. Okay. I guess along with our other community partners, we would certainly look forward to the opportunity to be part of the MAT program as it unfolds. I guess in addition to collaborating with our other opportunities and expanding the TCO designation. So I know there's a lot to be done, and it's got to get down the road, but certainly we would entertain being part of that group. I'm engaged through the Community Sports Councils of Ontario with a number of MAT related issues across other sports councils in Ontario.
I think in there I heard yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. And again, well done.
Thank you, Councillor Sless. Councillor Carpenter.
Ditto for Councillor Sless. About congratulations to both of you. Been a long time, Pat, Bill, since we started this down this road. I was there when we started it. What's your greatest need? What's the greatest need for Tournament Capital right now?
go ahead.
You know what? I think it's the community engagement part of it is a huge part of this whole process. It's not just about running an event, and the focus is really on the future, Richard. I think we did an excellent job of putting together the historical stuff. Pat had all the archive stuff from her 15 years in the chair as a Tournament Capital chair and working for the city. And then we looked at the current initiatives that are going on, and now to embrace the future. The focus will be on the future. And as Rick Mannon once told me, it's not a marathon. It's not a race, it's a marathon. So there's a lot of processes to get through, but I think the focus is on the future.
A lot of the minor sports organization structures, are they not renting facilities, going cap in hand, looking for facilities to rent? They're looking for facilities to organize structure. Have we not actually found a solid center, a base for organized sports to operate out of?
My take on all that is about infrastructure, Richard. And I think infrastructure remains a key focus as we go forward and the community grows and expands, and handling, hosting events, tournaments, all kinds of activities within the minor sport groups, but also within the balance of the community. Facilities are always challenged, and we have a great rapport with the Parks and Rec group. But there's a lot of initiatives as they go forward into the future. And we're not just looking at the budget year, we're looking at 5, 10, 15 years as part of the whole planning study that the council keeps moving forward on. So
But providing,
there's a lot of infrastructure developments
providing a
required.
location where groups can organize from, because you're renting space now for the Brantford Minor Sports Groups, are you not?
We don't have a home right now because
Right.
of access. As you know, Richard, you're heavily engaged in that. And we work with them in volunteering to manage that for our sport groups.
So if the city
North
were to
Quarter.
find a way to provide permanent homes and locations for the volunteer organizations to operate out of, wouldn't that be a good start?
Yeah, and I know there's been some initiatives talked about. And it's a matter of going forward and having proper funding to do all of that.
Well, thank you, and thank all the volunteers for all the work they do, and for staying on top of it. I know you can't do it forever, but thank you for the time that you put in. And thank you for the volunteers coming forward. Thank you.
Councilor McCurry.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Bill. Welcome, Pat. Pleasure to see you again. Bill, we see each other now and again. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the financials around your event, your funding and sponsorships and so on.
Do you want me to take that?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, we were very lucky to have council step up to the plate and give us $10,000. I was the one responsible for keeping the money in line and making sure that everything was documented. And we did come under budget, but I think through the greatest thing that I saw was all of the organizations, the partners came on board. And we did actually, I reached out to all of them and find out what was their in-kind donation to us for the event. And although we're, again, gracious and thankful for the money from the city, we had over $20,000 in contributions from the public. And that goes through all the partners that we work with, the organizations, business, and volunteering. We're very lucky to have that.
But of course, you couldn't put a price on the presence of Doug the Great.
No,
No,
of course not.
No.
Well, and all the community partners, Dan, when you look at the report, it was total engagement. And we decided very early on, this was not just about having a dinner and a banquet at the Walter Gretzky Golf Course. Oh, it's a great facility. And we did get great support from the staff out there in walking us through all the information we needed to do.
And the outdoor
But
event at
the
Gretzky.
outdoor event was something that
Yeah.
was very important to engage the community.
Yeah,
I know,
and
that
Councillor
was-
Martin and I, Councillor Carpenter was there, Councillor Sless.
Yeah.
Councillor Samwell was there, maybe some others that I'm omitting names of. So you certainly attracted the attention of members of city council, and you, of course, in addition to the check. And thank you for returning some of that. You, of course, had the full support of all of us and our
Well,
excellent.
Dan, we're not
dedicated
returning it.
staff.
We're going to be able to use that for future developments.
Sorry, I don't think you heard me.
No.
Thanks
We're investigating
again.
the tournament cap.
Thanks again, folks.
You're welcome.
With that, we've gone slightly over the time, so thank you very much for your presentation. And thank you very much for the excellent event, and please thank all your sponsors for all the in-kind donations they made as well, because
Thank you.
Anyway, all the best in the
20,000.
new year, guys, and we look forward to a prosperous and engaging new year.
okay, we'll deal with this shortly, so
Thank you.
we'll now consider items that were separated for discussion purposes. Councilor Samwell, I believe you have the motion to move the items separated.
that all items for consideration and consent 7.1 and 7.2 separated for discussion purposes be approved.
And as is our practice, since there was a delegation on 7.2.2, we'll start with that one. Questions, comments? Counselor Sluss.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think for those that attended, they would understand what we're talking about an exciting, about a fully engaged event. And that doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of work. And I know the work that went into this by knowing the folks that were doing the work, and it showed. It was an excellent event, and it's something that not only the community, but yourself should be very proud of. You pulled it off. You did a good job. But I think going beyond and looking forward, Mr. Chair, we have a brand in this city, the tournament capital of Ontario, that other cities would kill to have. And we have it, and it sits in a box, and it's not used. And we have an opportunity with I'll call it found money through this room tax to reinvigorate and bring it to the forefront again as it was many years ago when it was first introduced. I believe Councillor Carpenter and I were the two councillors back in the 90s that met over in Cockshot Park that started this whole tournament capital thing. So it goes way back. Pat invited us and we showed up. And it became something that we really didn't believe could happen, and it did. And it became huge, and it ended up in the legislature in Queen's Park. So it's a big deal. We see it every day. We don't really realize what we have, but we've got a major marketing thing, tourist thing for this community, and it's not utilized. And I think we have an opportunity coming up in 2024 to put it back on the map and put the city back on the map as far as a tournament destination, and bringing tourists into the community and filling up those rooms, which again fills up the coffers. So that's what we want to do. That's the whole ball of wax, I guess, in a nutshell, is to put it back on, get people coming, get that room tax, get all the businesses full of people eating lunch, eating breakfast, using all our facilities, and putting us back on the map. We're well on our way, and this will just cap it off. So I'm very pleased to support this. And again, I congratulate the group that pulled it off. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sluss. And it's a great way to get things started again now that COVID's over and we can move forward. Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in total agreement with Councillor Sluss. Great work, Councillor Sluss, Councillor Carpenter, Bill, Pat, appreciate everything you've done. We're going to be entertaining a winter and summer carnival festivals that's going to be coming to this council. Just wondering whether or not we can marry up that event to have happen during both of those events, winter and summer. We're the tournament capital. It's an opportunity for us to be able to really put ourselves onto the map and give something back to the community that is so well deserving. And now that COVID is behind us, although I still don't know what COVID was because I still had to go to work every day. It's a huge opportunity for us to be able to do something in this community and to have you folks a part of this and council supporting it. I also support this today, and I look forward to what we can happen in the future going forward.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Councillor Sluss said, this has been 25 years, but we've left everybody out in the cold. We've missed out. They don't have facilities. They don't have office space. They're still going around looking to rent office space for their organizations to promote the sport in the community. You would have thought that since we had the 100 acres sitting on Parlin Road, we might have chipped off a piece for them and said, here's a spot, now find some money to build a building, and you had a facility attached to it. Or we have the same thing with our neighborhood associations. We need to find places for them to operate out of so they can be there consistently. Right now, the minor sports, whether it be softball or hardball, they're looking for places to operate out of. And sometimes they're looking for facilities. They're going out of the community to find facilities. And we call ourselves Tournament Capital. As Councillor Sluss said, we need to live up to that name in a way that keeps them whole. So they, as the organizations change, as the members of those organizations change, they still have a place where that's their home base to operate from to move forward. Now, how it's funded, that could be another matter, but getting them started with a location is so important. Just like the neighborhood associations, without that base, we'll lose them in the long term. And those volunteers and the value that they provide to this community you can't add that up. So we need to be thinking about the capital needs long-term so the organization can stay going forward. That's what we need to concentrate on going forward. I think, Counselor Celeste and Councilor McCreary is actually working on what's been larger in the sports group, but we're talking about the grassroots and what Councilor McCreary is working on is bringing in the larger groups and so that like the professional groups, so the organization have something to look up to and work up to. So we need to have it holistically approach to this. So I think that we need to step up and start helping the minor sports groups find homes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the question.
Item 722, Brantford Sports Council carries on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those councillors voting in favor: Councillor Vindelberg, Samuel Carpenter Hunt, Martin McCreary, Celeste Caputo, Sullivan Secoli, Mayor Davis.
Okay, and the only other item separated was 7.1.5. Councilor Carpenter, I believe you had an amendment for this one?
Well, first of all, question, because maybe an amendment. I think Council Samuel may have a better idea for amendment being on the committee. But just a question to staff. In the report on page 2, it's got item C. As part of the recommendation, it says that the stage be named the Lauren Harris Stage. But in the recommendation before us, it says that staff will name the stage based upon item 23, corporate policy number 23. And corporate policy 23 is a policy that allows staff to decide what gets named what. And it doesn't come to council for consultation or discussion whatsoever. I think that whole policy needs to be reviewed because it's taking council out of the whole realm of what gets named and how it's named and how much did we get for the naming and all those other things that we're missing out on. I think that was somehow we missed that. But my question would be, why is there a change here in this process? And I'll move it back to the original request unless I can find another reason, or send it back to the committee for them to suggest a name. Thank you.
Sarah Monroe, Director of Economic Development, Tourism and Cultural Initiatives. Through the chair to Councillor Carpenter, during the meeting, the members did bring up that the Lauren Harris Parkette stage might not be large enough to really justify the value that Lauren Harris brought to our community. So some conversation went around about what they could name it. They weren't able to make a decision in that meeting, and we were made aware of the naming policy at that time. Our recommendation is going to be to work with that committee to come up with a name, bring it forward, and bring it back to council.
Okay, so part of policy 23 is going to be you're going to work with the committee on a name and bring it back to council. Okay, I'm happy with that then, Mr. Chair.
Okay, seeing no further questions or comments, we'll call the question.
Item 715, Economic Development, Tourism and Cultural Initiatives Advisory Committee Report carries on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those councillors voting in favor: Councillor Vindelberg, Samuel Carpenter Hunt, Martin McCreary, Celeste Caputo, Sullivan Secoli, and Mayor Davis.
Thank you. We have no resolutions on tonight's agenda. There are no notice of motion. Please note that the notice of motion deadline for the council agenda is this Thursday, December 14th at 9 a.m. And with that, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.